They're very small in Japan. I actually did go out with a Japanese girl once. She was only about 4'2". I mean, someone put her up to it. I don't know what that was. One of the things that made me really grumpy when I was a kid was it was during that period of time, sort of late 50s, early 60s, where there's all these youth organisations and you were almost compelled to join one. You know, the Cubs, the Brownies, the Sea Cadets, Air Cadets, Sea Scouts, Boys Brigade. You had to join one, and I did not want to join. And I got really grumpy, didn't want to know. And then when I was about 14, it was interesting when I was 14. When I was 14 years old, I had a fetish for older women. I don't anymore. And a mate of mine said, come and join the Scouts. I said, no, I want to join the Scouts. He said, Arcala fancies you. I said, really? He said, yeah. So I went for a week, and Arcala actually was very nice. He just wasn't my type, really, I suppose, if the truth really be known. But I do believe we have some very rare footage of the organisation that I did eventually manage to join.
It seems that Richard Wakeman did not initially join the Boys Brigade or Scouts, like other boys of his age, but actually managed somehow to join the Girl Guides instead. Brown Owl, can you explain exactly how that happened?
He duped us all. He simply dressed as a girl and then introduced himself as Raquel. The girls really took to him, her. Very quickly too. He was very popular.
And when did you discover that Raquel was actually a boy?
Well, when we went to camp a few months ago.
And you spotted something then?
Well, certainly some of the girls did.
Yeah, good camp that was. Back earlier this year, and I did class it as on the BBC asked me to present a programme on the history of the story of the great song, stroke hymn, Amazing Grace. And it took about 8 weeks of filming and went everywhere. And one of the places I went to was New York to meet with Judy Collins, who had the big hit here back in the 70s. And she was a lovely lady. And we were talking afterwards, and I said, you know, Amazing Grace is such a beautiful tune. It's one I've always sort of wanted to record. But the trouble is, there's been so many versions of it, you know, you just don't know where to start. And she said, what you've got to do is clear your head. Imagine you've never heard any other version in your life and think, if I'm the only person ever to record this, how would I do it? And I was sitting on the plane coming home and thinking about it, and I thought, what would I do? And I thought, well, I couldn't help but think back to Morning Has Broken, which I did with Cat Stevens, and I thought it would be nice to do like piano interludes between each of the verses, so it sort of splits it all up. And what else would I like? A choir, a real lovely choir. And I thought of my great friends of the English Chamber Choir, which was the original choir attached to the London Symphony Orchestra. And I thought that could be really good. And then and I thought, I need a plaintive voice, a real simple plaintive voice over the top of all of that. And again, I thought of my daughter Gemma. So here she is, singing our version of Amazing Grace.